I had another question to follow up on your previous answer. And so you don't see any opening for, basically Anwar's government is quite safe. What about statutory declarations, right? Which doesn't involve these UMNO people leaving the party, but they are pledging support to another, because that one, it seems like it's constitutionally viable. So do you see that happening? If, let's say, Hishamuddin and Ismail say they're tired of Zahid, but they're not going to leave UMNO, they're just going to pledge support to a Muhyiddin or something like that.
Well, it would still face a constitutional challenge, and so it seems like it might be viable, but it's not really clear what that means. In part because what does it mean to say, look, I'm not going to leave my party, but I'm going to give my support to the leader of another party. That is kind of leaving your party. So because UMNO would be hard pressed not to oust them from the party were they to do that, and at that point they lose their seat. So that means that the only thing that's holding them in their parliamentary seat is UMNO's desire not to lose its role in the government. But it basically, my sense is that would just sink the government, because they couldn't really hold on to members who say, I'm an UMNO member, but my PM is going to be the head of Bersatu. Don't kick me out of the party, because then the government will collapse. And, you know, I don't see that as really viable given the anti-hopping law. The anti-hopping law is not a great solution to weak party institutionalization. It is a pretty lame response, you know. It's just, but it is holding the government together right now. So I can critique it and also say, probably I was wrong about that one. That is definitely a good thing to have right after the elections. But at the same time, what would be better in the long term is if it is not so easy just to say, my party is so similar to this other party that I can just jump back and forth based on the shifting tides, because that is the case right now. But so I don't think the statutory declarations, for two reasons. One, it because of the anti-hopping law, it really does run the risk of sinking the government. And I don't know the minutiae. There's so many of these, you know, odd things that party members in Malaysia or MPs have to swear to. You know, and PAS, of course, is, oh, you know, you'll have to divorce your wife or whatever, like these really sexist things as well. But then you have these, you know, just these things of what sort of loyalty you have to pledge, which we know was an issue for UMNO as well in terms of pledging to support the party president. So my guess is that would actually be something that could, based on what they've signed, might automatically oust them from the party, in which case you trigger, again, you know, an election. So there's that part, but there's also to rely on statutory declarations really asks the Agong to continue with the role that he has been taking, but to be more proactive in doing so, not to wait until a government has collapsed or a government is waiting to form, but instead to help to precipitate the collapse of government. And I mean, the Agong is wildly popular. I think his role in helping to get a government set off the ground probably only strengthens his popularity. Undemocratic though that is, it's still this sort of balancing force. But at the same time, I'm not sure that would be a wise move or something the Agong would necessarily want to do, or the Council of Rulers would want to do, of precipitating the collapse of a government by saying, you know what, there is a government, but we're going to start taking statutory declarations to overturn this government. Maybe at the state level, not. I
think you brought the Agong in, right, and it's quite extraordinary, right? Even people who are not necessarily pro-monarchy, right? They appreciated his role over the past 2-3 years, right? Even though, as you say, like, it's undemocratic, right? Like him suggesting this, for instance. He's the referee.
That's the referee.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, we've got these people, like, everybody says they can form a government. Everyone wants
exactly.
PM.
So
like,
he's the
who do we go to? You know, you can't go directly to God, so you go to the Agong.
Some people claim they can. So,
sorry. That's why I use the English term instead, because if I don't say Allah, then it's not supposed to.
So you're right. I think that's the he was seen as the referee, right? And that was and in some ways, especially early on, right? He was very restrained in his. I can imagine somebody else or other sultans would have been more would have exercised more executive discretion.